Alright, so let's take a look at how we can process the data that's in the array. A bunch of different ways of doing things. Alright, so here we have an array of 5 items I call prices, and you see they have a bunch of double values. The array's declared the whole doubles. Alright, so this loop here will simply just output those values that are in the array. Let's make it a little bit more useful and actually process some of that data that's in there. I'm going to do a couple things within here. I'm going to declare another variable called total. Total, yep, that work. And we'll set that equal to 0. So I'm just going to look for the total of all the values that are in the array, which we kind of looked at in another video, but we'll do it again here. Prices, index. Alright, so this statement here will, each time it passes through the loop, each iteration gets a new value out of the array, adds it to what currently total is. Total starting at 0, so it'll be the 0 plus the 1045. Then it'll come through and be the 1045 plus the 499, which works out to whatever that is, $50, $51, something like that. Over $51, then it'll be $51 plus the 3025, and so forth, adding up, getting us a running total of all the data that's in the array. Right. If we want to do the average, right, we can create another variable called double. Average, we'll set that to 0 just to initialize it. And at the end here, after we have everything added up, average will equal your total divided by array size. So that will give us our average total. Alright, we'll output that so we can see some output as we create this program. Alright, so that's one thing we can do. We can get a running total of everything that's in there. Another thing we can do is calculate a price with the tax, or the tax amount. So total tax, right, we'll set that equal to 0 also. And we'll define a constant as, we'll say 7%, which is 0.07. Oops, need a variable, of course. Constants really should be all caps. Rate, and it equals that. There we go. Alright. Oops, missing my S. So now we can calculate the total with taxes. Right, the amount of taxes we're going to pay starting at 0, and that would be the price, right, at the index times the tax rate. Right, this is not the final price of the items, the individual things. It's just how much tax you're paying on each of those individual things. This will give you that total. And we can also calculate the average of that by taking total tax, dividing it by the array size. Right? And I'm going to reuse variables. Don't need multiple variables for this. Right? So that average is no longer total, but total tax. Again, divided by how many things are in the array, so that will give us the average of the taxes paid, right, for those 5 items, right, on each item. Right? It's kind of a, alright, and the average, oh, we got to output the average here, we didn't do that. Alright, and output the average again here, which would be a different average. Alright, so we're taking the individual pieces in the array one by one, multiplying it by rate. So this, the first time through the loop, takes the 1045, multiplies it by the 0.7, adds that to the total, and we get a running total going at the end here. Alright, so we can again loop and do multiple things, get running totals. We can calculate averages, obviously. Once we have the totals, we can do that. Alright, and we can also Another thing you can do is find the highest or the lowest value inside the array. So we'll do all that inside here, and we'll get another variable here, call highest, and we don't bother initializing that, and lowest. Alright, so we don't know what type of data is in here, right? Could be negative values, right? It could be positive values, so there is no real high or low. So one thing we can do, we can assume, highest is going to equal the lowest, which is going to equal the first item in the array. Right, so we're going to assume that this value, is 1045, is the lowest in the array, which it works out to be. So let's change this around a little. We'll change one of these to just be, change this 30. Alright, so we see that it actually is working. So it should find that 525 as the lowest. So what we need to do is compare the highest to the element in the array. Is it less? Well, here it's look for highest. So is it greater than what's currently in the prices at the index? If so, then now we have a new highest. Alright, and we want to check for lowest. So if lowest, if highest is greater than that, nope. So if highest is currently less than what's in the index, we have a new highest. And if lowest is greater than what's in the prices in array, alright, then we want to set lowest. We'll talk through this in a second. To prices at the index. Alright. So what's going to happen here? Let's get our array visible there. Here we go. So we defaulted the high and lowest to 1045. Alright, it comes in here. Hey, it's going to look at highest, which is currently 1045, compare it to the index, which starts off at 0 to 1045. So highest is not less than that value, so it skips that. Lowest is also at 1045. Is it greater than value at index 0, 1045? No, so it skips that. When index becomes 1, now we come back to here. Highest is still at 1045, but now this is actually at 4099. Right? Highest is less than that value, so now it sets highest to that 40.99. Is lowest greater than the price? Nope. So that means lowest is still the lowest value right now. So it does not do the assignment. And it comes back when index is 3. Highest is now the 4099. Is 4099 less than the 525? Because we're at index 2 now. Right? Nope, that's not true. So it skips that. Checks here now. Lowest is still at 1045. But this value is that 525. So lowest is greater than that value. So now it makes lowest the 525. And it continues to the rest of the array until it comes to the end. And then it outputs the two values. Right, so by the end of the array we had the two values, and I'm just going to output them. I have no message here. Save a little time. Alright. So there we're processing that data in the array. Again, I'm running total. We're doing some calculations with another variable there, and so forth. Alright, so what are we seeing here? The first grouping is just the outputting, which we left here. So we're in the loop, and it outputs those things. Once we come out, right, the average of the total is 21.016, which looks about right. Got some low values there, right, that are less than 20 and a couple higher, so that works out. The average tax is only 1.47, right? And this 40.99 is the highest value, which is correct, and the lowest is the 525. Right, so there's a lot of things you can do with the data. Again, you're treating each individual piece as an integer. In this case, a double. Excuse me. All right. As we index into it, that's just an individual value we're working with.